Yeah, I mean, obviously that's one thing that's really evolved in the last couple of years is the availability of food and how much quick. I mean, you don't even have to leave the house anymore, and you can have 1,000-calorie hamburger sit in front of you, and it didn't take much time or effort at all. It's like you hit a few buttons on your phone, and there it is. But yeah, I think that accessibility is that has created problems for
Yeah.
sure with a lot
Yeah.
of people. I wasn't sure. I'm sure England has it, but I don't know about how common that is elsewhere. But we're leading the fat people of the world over here. We're trying to gain weight as much as we can, it seems. But really just comes down, I think, to comfort and convenience, and that's what we love.
I tell you something else, Jeff, is your mental health. Because
Yeah.
say if I was overweight, I, I don't know, I don't think everybody understands how difficult it is if you're overweight to try and get off the sugar, get off the salt. You can order because this comes into it a lot of mental health's a massive thing over here at the minute. If your mental health is suffering, it's an addiction. It's something same way as drugs, same way as alcohol, anything like that. It's an addiction. Do you find that is one of the big things with a lot of your clients is trying to crack that addiction? Because you're not only a fitness person that can teach someone the way to train, you've got to be a psychologist. Oh yeah.
More so than anything,
Yeah.
honestly, because that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's the behavioral changes that lead to the physical changes, but on the mental health side of things, and even beyond that, the way that I look at fitness, I believe it's like the foundation, and we all need to do it. It's not something that we should view as optional because we have the one body that we've been given. We need to make sure that we're keeping it healthy, that we're keeping it running at max capacity. And, when I look at people like business owners or somebody that is ambitious that wants to do well in their career or just live a happy life, if they have this part of their life that is not in check and their health is very poor, they're very overweight, that impacts almost every other aspect. It impacts your confidence, which can impact relationships. It can impact your performance at work, the impressions that you give to other people that you interact with at work, your energy levels. It just applies to everything. And so when somebody starts, and I think that, obviously mental health is a huge, huge problem worldwide, and COVID and all the things that came with that made it even worse. A lot of people are alone, but when somebody comes to me like looking for help, they're usually not in the best mental state.
Mm.
And that's something that I have to recognize. I mean, there's some people that are just looking to improve and level up, but there's other people where they're at their wits' end. They've tried everything. Nothing seems to work. They're depressed. They're looking to get this part of their life in check. And the amount of change that they experience, yes, they experience physical change, and that's great. They feel better. They have better energy. They're healthier. But how it impacts their life goes way beyond losing fat, way beyond building muscle, way beyond improving energy. It impacts relationships, financial status, career status, and that impacts everything. And that's why I always look at it as the foundation.
Mm.
And so many people don't recognize that until they finally experience it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I used to work in a leisure centre, and people would come and they'd do a few sessions. They were like, "I'm not seeing anything change." I'll say the first thing the best change that will happen to you before you physically see it is up here. Your mental state. Get that sorted. Don't expect to get a six pack in, a couple of weeks or something like that. But keep going, and when you come out, I mean, it's like I've been running for years. I don't really enjoy it. I just do it. I don't go
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
But afterwards, the thought of it, and once you get into it, but afterwards, the endorphins and the way you feel, it's a
Yeah.
great feeling. You feel alive. So it's knowing that you got to put yourself through a little bit of pain, a little bit of effort, but mentally afterwards, you'll feel so much better.
Yeah. It's starting, obviously getting there, like whether you're going on a run, going on a hike, going to play a sport, going to the gym. Getting there, as they say, is half the battle, and you just need to make sure that you are making the most of it while you're doing it. But you'll never regret doing it.
Never.
You will regret not doing it.
Yeah.
But doing it, no one's ever going to regret. Like, oh man, I'm so mad that I went to the gym today. I'm so mad that I went for a run today. Who has ever said that?
Oh, no, not
no one in the right mind.
Yeah, that's right. So as far as the business is concerned, Jeff, I take it you've been running it for quite a few years now, because I mean you've trained a lot of people.
Yeah. We've been doing this for about 12 years. The first 2 years were under a different business name, and obviously later L8R. We kind of made a play on words with our name when we started. I kind of regret it a little bit because everyone always screws up the name. Like, what is it? L8R? What's LR8? And then when they do the hashtag, they'll do L8TER or L8ER. I don't know. But yeah, it's just my last name. But yeah, we've been doing it for 10 years. And when we started out, we did work with people that were mostly looking to compete as bodybuilders. But we've evolved quite a bit since then. And we still do have those people, but I think that for out of it before I talk somebody into it. It's a very difficult process to put yourself through, and you have to have the lifestyle established before you go into that. But yeah, from a coaching standpoint, we really do try to help people find a good balance so that they are healthy. They feel great about themselves. They look great naked, but they don't create any sort of disordered eating or any other potential problems that could come with it.
I suppose, like what we said earlier about getting older and wiser, and it's the same with your business. Like you say, you started off bodybuilding, but as you yourself develop and think, bodybuilding's great when you're younger, but now actually it can take its toll on your body. And I find that when I go to the gym, it's not all about the heavy weight anymore. It's about stretching and feeling good and not getting aches and pains. And I'll see these young lads doing deadlifts with these, 5-6 plates here. I'm like, whoa, no way. I'm not risking that. I'm not risking my back today. Do you think that's happened with your business as well? It's sort of that evolution through there.
Yeah, it definitely has, because, with what I've seen over the years, I don't think that I didn't see it early on, but I don't think I recognized it. And, one thing that, from a training perspective, actually my workout partner up until maybe about 6 months ago, he was half my age. Everyone thought he was my son. He's bigger than me now, but we trained hard, really, really hard. And it was beyond what most people would ever even imagine what training should look like.
Yeah.
But we loved it and we got great results. But I was beat up all the time. I think when everyone sees like a big muscly guy, they're like, oh, come help me move, or, come help me do this because you're strong. And I'm like, no, I'm actually beat up. And that sounds like a terrible thing. I don't want to lift any more than I already have today. But I've had some injuries. I mean, I've injured my knee. I have some herniated discs in my back. I have some shoulder issues. And so longevity is a much higher priority for me. And I wouldn't say that it wasn't throughout my career. I just didn't experience any of the potential side effects from going so hard until I got a little bit older. Yeah. And so it's, if there's anything I can impart upon the younger crowd, is that, hey, it's not worth trying to hit some sort of record, hit PR and lift with your pride and tear a muscle or injure your back or, tear your knee out or something like that. It's just not worth it. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things that I've definitely learned over the years as I've gotten older and the business has changed along with it.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I'd like to get into, which I haven't yet, because I know I've got to get dedicated to it, but something like yoga or something like that. I would love to get into something like that, but I'm not naive enough to think, I'll do it once, and then never bother again. If I'm going to do it, I want to be doing it weekly and regular. But something like that. Now, 20 years ago, if you'd have said to me, you're going to be doing yoga, I'd go, piss off.
Right.
About doing yoga. Now I'm like, actually, these guys coming down from yoga, they're strong and fit and flexible and, you know, and
Probably a
mindful.
little more functional.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people I'm a one-trick pony. I can pick stuff up and put it down, but I don't want to live the rest of my life that way. I want to be able to do anything. And, you know, I'm still pretty big. I'm about 230 pounds, but I'm a lot more comfortable because I've been 30, 40 pounds heavier than I am now.
Wow, yeah.
And it's just, you're not able to do much at all. You get out of breath walking up the stairs.
Yeah.
Even though it's muscle, it's still that much weight on your frame, and it's hard to live that way.
Yeah.
So I'm not purposefully trying to lose weight. I think I get asked that question all the time since I retired, but it will gradually come down, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's like you said before, depending on your clients, you know, you work with your clients and you can offer advice, but it's all about their plan and what they want to do. And,
Yeah.
you know, if they're younger, you were always going to have a different mindset. You can't help it, can you? You know, it's just, and that is part of experience and learning and growing up, which we had to do. And if you took that away, we wouldn't be who we are. So you've got to, you know, like my son will say things to him and I'll think, I'm not going to say anything. He'll work it out for himself, and I'll hold my tongue and let him go away, you know, and he'll come back a few weeks later and say, actually, Dad, you know, I think you might have been right.
Yeah, I think that's probably the better way to go about it than a lot of parents do, because I think you have to be okay with them failing every once in a while.
Yeah.
And because that's really how you learn. I mean, I failed over and over and over again, and I continue to do so today, but I'm learning from them each time and trying to figure out, like, okay, well, how do I not do this again? Or what can I take from this failure? How can I learn from this? You know, and as kids, you know, those experiences that we go through, if you never experience them, then you're just going to remain ignorant. And I think the world is just rainbows and sunshine, but that's just not how it works. You got to be able to deal with the adversity.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids haven't had to deal with that too much because parents come in and just rescue them.
Yeah.
I think they call them helicopter parents. I don't know if you've heard that term.
And what do you think about all the latest fads and everything, just out of interest, Jeff, because we're similar vintage? Obviously, back in the day, you know, I had a little weight set, barbell, dumbbell, job done. Now, the wealth of equipment now is crazy, and the fads. What's your take on all that? Do you embrace it, or does it annoy you?
Well, you know, I think it's good that they've come out with so many different things that, especially that you can have at home. I think from an equipment standpoint, most of the time it's been good. There's definitely some stuff out there that is just a waste of money, and probably even dangerous. You know, I'm sure we've all seen YouTube highlight videos, blooper videos of people doing workouts with bands and having it smack them in the face, or, you know, break and crack across their back or something like that. But, you know, from an equipment and a training standpoint, I think there's good things happening there. From a dietary standpoint, nutrition standpoint, it's all bad. You know, everyone's just trying to come out with some new name for something. Like even keto, that's actually not new. It's been around for a long, long time. It just kind of came back into popularity in the last 10 years or so. Which is actually even kind of surprising that it is, just because it's one of the most restrictive diets in history. But people like it because they get an immediate drop in weight because the water's coming off, and it makes them think like that things are happening, even though it doesn't really lead to much success in the majority of people that try it. So it's nutrition is not going in the right direction.
And it's not, and it's big business, and similar to what I was saying with my son, you hope that common sense prevails in the end, you know, because they'll try all these fangled things, they'll lose the weight, then they'll put it back on. The reality is, you know, it's a lifestyle, it's part of your life, and you know, you can call it what you want. If it's got a name and it's got diet in it, then it's not going to work.
Exactly. If you're following something that has a name, that's probably not the diet you should be following.
Yeah, true.
Plus, you look at, like, you know, the people that are fit in the world today, are they doing those things? No. You know, they understand that it's a lifestyle, and that you can go through phases. Maybe where you're maybe pushing a little bit harder, and other times we're a little bit more relaxed. But in the end, you're still healthy and you're living that lifestyle. Whereas other people are constantly yo-yoing. They heavily restrict, and then they completely go the opposite direction, and they heavily restrict, and they completely go the opposite direction. And that has all sorts of internal consequences that a lot of people don't even realize. But in the end, they're not really making any progress. They're just kind of gradually getting worse.
Yeah. And where do you see the business going for you in the future, Jeff? Are you going to branch out to other things, or just keep doing what you're doing? What are you thinking for the future?
I mean, we will continue to be a coaching company, but prior to doing this full time, I had another job, and my job was to do research and development and develop new products for dietary supplements.
All right.
And so it's always something that, and I've been hired as a contractor for other companies to develop and formulate new product lines and stuff like that. It's one of those things where that industry of it in and of itself is pretty shady. Most of the supplements out there are not great. They're just trying to get your money, and they don't really help people. We did start a product line last year of our own, basically just doing some essential stuff. And we are trying to do some innovative things with that this year. I've got an investor that's helping front some of the money on this, because it's a big project that we're working on. But if we can get it to work, it will. And I can't really speak to it right now, but if it works, then it could be a way to bridge fitness, even like the extreme side of things, with the modern, with everyday man and the mainstream, and make it very easy to make sure that we don't have any micronutrient deficiencies, and make sure that we're all healthier than we were yesterday.
Wow.
So it's an idea that came to me not too long ago, and it's kind of one of those middle of the night, like wake up, oh my gosh, I got to write this down, type of thing. And so I'm excited about it. So we'll see where that goes.
Good stuff.
That's something that that's on the top of my mind right now. Yeah.
Good stuff. I always ask my guests for a bit of advice, so it can be the best bit of advice you've had or you've been given, Jeff. Have you thought of anything?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things, but one thing I tell people, if they are considering a lifestyle change, trying to improve their health and considering a diet, I would ask you to ask yourself one question. Can you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life? And if you can't, then you should never start, because at least not that with that direction, because there's no way it's going to last. And I think a lot of people justify a negative answer to that by saying, oh, I'm just going to do it to lose the weight, and then I'll go onto something sustainable. That never works. I've not seen that work once. So I would tell people to ask themselves that question if they're considering a diet.